back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back for 2015. As you can see, we're in a new surroundings, aren't we, Fitzy?
We are.
Got ourselves a good sponsor, a new office. Cherry Cokes.
We've got Cherry Coke. We have a new sponsor, which is called Flippers. Flip-flops for people with big feet, Gracie. Yep. So Sam Jacobs is our spokesman. So that's a size 16 thong that I'm wearing at the moment. So if you've got big feet, come and see me. They've jumped on board to sponsor us for 2015. But yeah, we're in a new location, new office. We've got a TV right here for our notes. We've got laptops, we've got Cherry Coke, we've got you and me, and we're ready to go.
Exactly. And we're excited because there's some new changes, Fitzy, and I think
there is.
You should kick us off with the major one, which I think is very enticing for people to join up. So, more money.
More money. Yep. I know. Just
more
when
cash.
you get your broke ass into gear, pick a winning Supercoach team. And this year they've said there's going to be more prize money up for grabs, and there's going to be more weekly prizes as well.
Yep.
So if you like Gracie and you have one good week a year, you might be in with a shot at winning some cash. So we're very excited about Supercoach this year. It's Wednesday at the moment. It opens on Friday, so we're going to be getting stuck in pretty quick. So
as we have a Supercoach Gold member here, we can check
him.
I don't check some prices and stuff. But
I am Supercoach Gold. I'm Supercoach Platinum. But we're just going to read through a few of the changes. The number one being more money, so stay tuned for that. The second one is a new game they're bringing in called Supercoach Knockout, or it's similar to what Dream Teams had for a while. I think it's called Eliminator over at Dream Team. So basically everyone's going to start off by playing someone else, and it's going to keep going down until there's only one winner. And I think that's kind of a cool idea.
Yep.
Very impressed.
It's similar to what like the Premier League fantasy does. They have a knockout cup each week, and obviously if you lose, you're out pretty much. So
good idea.
It's another sort of incentive, and I'd say there'd be some pretty killer prizes for that as well.
Yeah, exactly. So the next change we've got is league games start in round 2 and finish at round 22, which I think is the best change they've had in recent years. That's what we needed. So you've only got one round to really get your team right before you start league games, but the fact that we can avoid that round 22 carnage is just a godsend.
That's usually my best week, because all my opponents don't have any players left. That's why I score so good.
That's it. So it might not be the case for you this year, but I'm assuming overall rankings obviously will still count there, so you might be with a chance to win some cash.
Hopefully.
Now the other one, Gracie, the next one is you can now enter up to 10 leagues, which I think, what's it been in the past, about 5, I reckon.
Always been 5. There's always that one where you get your 5th and one of your mates texts you half an hour later, join my league, and it's like, well, sorry, I can't.
And you can't.
Now you can. So.
That's it. And my mum always joins 5 leagues within the first week, because everyone wants her. So now she can join your league.
Because she always picks Paddy Ryder and who else? Joe Watson.
She has Jack Rewalt captain when he kicked 10 goals the other year and scored 200. She's just on fire. So if you want her in your league, let me know and I'll put her in there. And you can also have a 10-team league, which I think is not a bad idea, Gracie. That's coming back to, like we talk about other forms of fantasy football. 18 it's always been, but you can have a 10-team league in NFL fantasy football, which keeps it nice and intimate, nice and close. So I really like that idea as well. The next one, which is something that we've been waiting for a while, is live Supercoach scores. So that's going to be provided by the Herald Sun, obviously. So you will need your subscription, but you can get your Supercoach scores on the fly in 2015.
Which has always been there, but it's going to be in the actual site on the site rather than having to go to Live HQ as you would have previously. So
and it keeps logging you out.
Which
is always a problem.
The joys of the Herald Sun.
I'll tell you what, we should start our own paper and our own Supercoach.
Might as well.
Another story. Now, there's been a few positional changes, Gracie, and I'm thinking this is not a bad idea. We've now got 3 midfield bench spots and only one exactly, and only 1 ruck bench spot, which I think is great, because this year will be a bit like last year, where there's really not going to be that many ruck options to put on the bench. So I'm happy they've now given us a 3rd midfield option to make a bit extra cash and possibly help with swinging some DPP as well. So I'm really up for that change.
And who's like, most teams now are going to have a ruckman and they're going to have a ruck forward anyway.
Correct.
So you're not going to have that second ruck that's going to even play. Like last year, I think everyone had Dan Curry as their second ruck bench, and I don't think he played a game, did he?
He played a few games. Then I had Max King, that guy from Melbourne, because he was the cheapest available. So
he was on the cusp though, apparently, and then he got injured, I think.
So that's a really good change. I think we're going to be struggling for a ruck spot on the bench anyway. So we'll just have to roll with that one.
Yep.
And the second last one I've got here is there's been some score changes, and this is mainly going to affect ruckman. So in 2015's Champion Data's changed how they're working the hit out. So 3 points for an effective hit out, but 0 points for a non-effective hit out. So keep that in mind when choosing your ruckman this year, because that could be very, very crucial.
So if Nick Nat's fit, he should be your first person picked. I
agree.
think, but we'll get to that
That's
later on.
Or Sean Hampson.
Exactly.
Who one game last year, he had 50 hit outs and about 40 of them were effective. So bring on some of that cash. So it's going to also be interesting for guys like Louis and Cruiser, which we'll talk about in our ruck video. But if they're going to be playing forward a lot and maybe only getting 15, 20 hit outs a game, that could affect their scoring as well. So we'll talk about that later. But the last one we've got here is a whole heap of new dual position players, Gracie. And just as I changed the monitor over here, we've got a list.
Right, what size is that monitor?
It's a 40-inch TV. I got it from Dick Smith for $300.
There you go, Dick Smith.
Dick
Get
Smith.
on it.
They can sponsor the show. We'll contact Mr. Smith and ask him what he's doing. So,
do you reckon he goes by Dick or Richard?
Mr. Smith.
Mr. Smith,
to you.
okay, sorry.
Or Dick. Dick. So, so there's a few interesting dual position players this year, Gracie. We'll have a look at the ones that have lost the dual position secondly, because there's a few in the back line that are going to kill everybody.
The big two there, Patrick Dangerfield, who's no longer a forward, and Pierce Hanley, who has lost his defender status. He's only a midfielder, which...
not much fun.
I don't think you'll pick him.
That's it. No. So we'll run through a few that are now mids and forwards, which there's quite a few of them, Gracie. We've got Dane Swan, Brendan Goddard, Brett Delidio, Jack Zeeble, Harley Bennell is now forward mid again, as is Dale Thomas, and Adam Cooney's picked up the forward dual position link. So there's a few interesting ones in there. One thing I find a little, makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside is remember back in the day that Goddard and Delidio were your first picked in the back line, and now they're just about your first picked in the forward line. I reckon it's just a bit of harmony there that I actually really like.
Although Dustin Martin's obviously still a forward mid, and you've got Delidio. Do you have both, or do you have one in mids, one in the forwards?
I think you have to go lids for mine. He's got, 7 years in a row of averaging 100. I think you can bank in on him. If you look at his form in probably the second half of last season, even the last 2/3 of last season, and he killed it. So a few games at the start he wasn't too good, but I think you got to back him in, because Dustin's always going to throw in that game where he just gets 60 because he can't be stuffed. So watch this space, but I wouldn't be surprised if you ended up with both of them by the end of the year. But picking just one to begin with would be Delidio for me. And what do you reckon about Swan, Gracie? We won't talk too much about him right now, but is he a starter, or are you a bit cautious?
Well, his price tag's quite cheap. I think it's around the
440 something.
I think he's got to be looked at. Definitely, it's obviously going to depend on. I think the rookies are going to be the first things you pick this year, because that'll depend on.
That's it, exactly. So obviously if he was a midfielder you wouldn't even think about it, but being a forward, I think I might slot him into that F4 spot and hopefully get back to some form. But there's a few other players that have picked up DPP. Paddy Ryder is now a ruck forward, as is Tom Bell Chambers. Pardon me, Gracie, too much of that cherry coke. And Jared Harbrow is now a midfielder defender. So not sure about those guys. I'm a bit iffy on Bell Chambers, but a lot of
could
people
you
are
have
locking him in.
Ryder and Bell Chambers and just swap them around?
That's it,
Do they share the same buy?
I don't actually know. If we were more prepared, we could have checked that. But I don't mind Paddy Ryder. The only thing will be what they do with him and Lobie. But I could picture Ryder going forward and maybe kicking 30 goals for the year, plus some hit-outs. And as he does, he gets a lot of possessions around the ground. So he could be one to keep an eye on. Maybe not to start with, but maybe to look at upgrading, depending on his form. But that's it for a few of the ones that have gained dual position, and then a few of the ones that have lost. And as we touched on a few moments ago, there's a few defenders that are going to hurt us by losing their DPP. And
just look at that list.
I know.
A couple of premiership players. Four premiership players.
There's a few in there. We'll run through in terms of the defenders that have lost their dual position. Sam Mitchell, Pierce Hanley, Jimmy Bartel, Jared McVeigh, David Swallow, and Luke McDonald has also lost his. So that's basically your 5 top defenders from last year, minus Malcheski, that have all lost it. So this year is going to be very, very tough to pick a good starting combo.
Although with Jimmy now being a forward, you would definitely pick him starting
Correct,
forward,
that's right. So he wasn't in our other list, but now that he's picked up forward, he's changed position almost every year. He's picked up a new dual position.
Defender, forward. He hasn't been a ruck yet.
No.
It's not far away.
He could potentially be a 3-position DPP, but Would you pick any of those in your midfield, or are they now off the radar?
Dangerfield, I would, just because he's he's got that effectiveness and can have big games. But other than that, McVeigh's probably a bit old now. Parker, probably not. He's more of a forward for mine. Pierce Hanley, not with the strength of the other premiums you got, like with Ablett and Pendlebury and Selwood and Watson and all those guys, but. And the rookies, you're gonna be loading up more rookies this year because you've got that extra bench spot. Plenty of room there for heaps of cash. So, other than that, I don't think I would be picking anyone bar Dangerfield in the midfield.
As you're saying. So, luckily we've picked up a few forwards that have gained the dual position. But as you said, they're Dangerfield and Parker, who were probably close to being in that top 6 anyway. Both have lost it this year. So I'm with you on Dangerfield because of his bye as well. He doesn't share it with that round 12, I think, bye that everyone's got this year. So he's looking pretty good. There's a few others there. Chad Wingard, he's done some sort of injury and probably won't be right for the start of the year, they've said. Stefan Martin is just a ruck now. I don't think I'd be starting with him, especially not at 600k plus. It's a bit.
No, you're better off going
too much.
The big Louis.
Definitely going big Louis. And a couple others there, Gracie. Lewis Taylor and Josh Caddy are both now. Lewis Taylor's only a forward and Caddy's only a midfielder. So Caddy, you'd almost argue you could have started this year if he was still a forward, but because he had a good run at the end of last year. But I think being just a midfielder is a lot better options.
I think
cheaper.
He's still a couple of years away from being an elite sort of top midfielder.
That's right.
And he'd be one that you might start with in a few years, but not at the moment.
Not at the moment, no. So that's pretty much wrapped up our dual position gainers and losers, I suppose you could say, Gracie. So we're really pumped for Supercoach to start this year. Because I don't have the gold, I haven't really been doing too much, but I'm itching to get into it. But we're now going to sit down and record some videos, have some cherry coke, and we're going to run through some defenders, midfielders, rucks and forwards, premiums and mid prices.
So check out the videos. If you've got any questions, you can tweet, Facebook us. We may even include our Snapchats. Maybe not.
If you want.
That's a scary. We probably won't Snapchat you back if you send some odd videos.
Just like you send to me all the time, a few of these ones.
Yeah, a few selfies.
We might as well include our Snapchat.
Oh, we'll do it.
Okay.
Yeah, our Snapchats are going up. Okay.
Send us a Snapchat. Right. But we'll see you in the next video.
No worries. See ya.
Hooroo.